Hello guys, so good to have you guys back here. Happy new week. I'm so excited because this is my birthday month. So this month, any tutorial you want, please kindly request and I'll be up here for you guys. But for today, we're going to be making this beautiful bubu dress with an exquisite, elegant, extraordinary design in front. So if you're interested, kindly watch till the end. Thank you so much. So guys, you're welcome once more. These are the fabrics we're going to be working with. I have this soft, very light stay. Okay, this is what I'm going to be using, and I have this satin fabric. It's just little pieces left from one of the dresses I made, and this is the beautiful Ankara print we're going to be using. I have 3 yards of this Ankara print. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2. The front is folded in 2, the back is folded in 2, and the width of this we have 16.5 inches. Remember, this is an extended sleeve, a cut together sleeve, so you will take more than your shoulder measurements. And the full length of this I have 40.5 inches. So at the top here, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line across, like 1/4 of an inch line at the top here, where all our markings will be starting from. So just go ahead and do same. I'm drawing just a straight line, okay, so I can have straight measurements. Now at the neck part, I'm going to be doing the 3 inches neck width for now, and then at this open part I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect it to the neck width in order to create our shoulder slope. So if you've been watching our tutorials, the past 2 or 3 tutorials, I've done this frequently, so you should get used to this by now if you've been following my tutorial. So just go ahead and connect your shoulder slant. Now we're going to be creating a sleeve opening. For a plus size, you can do 11 inches, 12 inches. For a slim person, 9 inches, 10 inch for sleeve opening is perfect, but I'm using 11 inches for my sleeve opening. Now from the shoulder, I'm measuring to that point. I have 12 inches. I want to get a straight line, so I'm marking that 12 inch at this side. Now, still keeping your tape from your shoulder line, I'm going to be marking down to my waist point. Okay, I'm marking it 2 times so I can get a straight line, and I'm marking to my hip point at this time. So I'm marking shoulder to my sleeve opening, shoulder to my waist point, and shoulder to my hip point. And after that, I'm marking from shoulder to the full length of this dress, which is 40 inches. Okay, so I'm going ahead to mark that plus my hemming allowance. The actual length of this dress is 39 inches. Okay, whatever I have left is for hemming allowance. So after getting all those measurements in place, I'm going to go ahead now to connect my lines into a straight line. So kindly take your own body measurements and connect into a straight line. I'm going ahead to label this. This is my first point. Sorry about the way I'm writing it. Okay. want to replicate what we have on the neck depth and on the shoulder on this facing. So that's what we're doing right now. Go ahead and do the same thing. So ensure everything is accurate, okay? Let it be the exact shape. Can you see what I have there? And trim the shoulder part as well. So when you're done doing that, you're going to take out your pins and then you're going to bring the facing back to the right side of your Ankara fabric. We're bringing it to the right side because we want to create the design. When we're done creating the design, I'm going to be showing us how you're going to go ahead to create turn the neckline neatly, okay? So this piece of fabric I have left, I'm trying to manage it, okay? So sometimes keeping those scrap fabric, okay, can really be helpful. Now you can imagine what this scrap fabric of satin has done, okay? So sometimes it's always good to keep them. So we're going to use this and find a way around this to create this beautiful design that you saw on the thumbnail. Now you're going to be deciding which side you want to have the slimmer version and which side you want to have the wider version. So for the slimmer side, I'm going to be marking 2.5 inch at the shoulder part. Remember, half inch will be folded in, so the actual width there is 2 inches. Go ahead and come down by half inch. Half inch is what you're going to be joining for your shoulder. And then the depth here, I marked 11 inches. This 11 inches is where the first design on the side of the shorter design is going to stop. I hope this makes sense. One side of the shoulder is wider than one side. So the side that is not wide, we came down by 11 inches after taking out half of an inch for shoulder joining. And then go ahead and connect this into a straight line. So after connecting, I'm left with, can you see what I have? 2.5 inches. That's what I marked there. So after connecting this into a straight line, at this point we're going to be making a notch here, okay, but mark inwards like 4 inches and create a straight line, just what you see me have there. Then from the shoulder of this other part, I'm going to be marking 5 inches. Now this part is the one that is wider. If you watch the design carefully, one part of the design is smaller than one part. So you're going to decide which side you want to be slim, which side you want to be wide. So this wider side, I marked 5 inches and I connected down into a straight line. The slim part, I marked 2.5 and connected to 11 inches. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this line I just created on the wider part so we can see what we have left and know what to do with our design. Now watch how I'm cutting this part. The lower part has to be extended, can you see, from shoulder to 11.5 inches including your shoulder seam allowance, and then you connect into a straight line and then you cut it out. Just follow what I'm doing, okay? You can watch this over and over so you can understand. Now at this corner here, you have to make a little notch, like 1/4 inch notch. This notch will help us to fold this part in neatly when we're going to iron this, so the edges will come out as neat as what you saw. Can you see the way I'm folding it? Now this notch will help you to fold this curved part neatly, so you need to make that notch at that point. We'll come back to that, but for now let's continue. We're not done with our design. Now still from the shoulder part, you need to determine the length of this design on your front piece. Now mine extended beyond my waistline. If you want it to stop at your waistline, mark your waist, but mine I used 20 inches, okay? So I'm going to cut it out because that's where I want my design to stop. So determine the length of the design you're working on. So after getting that, we're placing it in front of the fabric so we can see what we have. The width of this whole design here is 19 inches. Can you see? It's 19 inches, almost 20, but you can do 20 or less. And then the length of this other part I have here 16 inches. Can you see what I have? I have 16 inches. And then for this other part, from here downwards, I have 10.5 inches. So those are the measurements, okay, that I have at each point, in case you want to do the exact same thing. Now we're going to get the midpoint of this our V neckline. You can decide to make your design, everything to be submitted at the center line. But remember, when you're creating your fold, because we're going to be folding the edges before we sew it to our fabric, remember when you're making your folds, it will shift from the center line. Mine is not at the center line because I don't want it to be there. But if you want yours to be at the center, just go ahead and connect the way you see me do. But when I was hemming, I adjusted mine a bit. Okay, remember all these parts are going to be folded in with at least 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so when you're folding, it will alter that. Okay, now at this side I'm also creating a design. Just go ahead and be creative, just play around with your design. At this part I went up by 3 inches. Can you see what I have? I went up by 3 inches. At that point I connected to the center line. Meanwhile, I'm going to be shifting from the center line by 3 inches. Okay, so if you want to connect yours to the side, you can connect to the side. If you want to create a square design, you can create a square design. Now for the actual design of this bubu dress that I saw online, it was attached separately to the neck width, but I don't want mine to be separate. That's why I'm making a whole design together at once. So I'm satisfied with what I have here. I'll go ahead and take out my pins. Okay, go ahead and take out your pins if you're satisfied with what you have. But those measurements I stated are the exact measurements I used for mine if you want to recreate the exact same thing. So this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead now to use my stay to iron it to this for it to have more structure. The fabric is satin, it already has structure, so I will still add my stay, and after that go ahead and fold in. Can you see what I mean? When folding, it will shift from the center line. You're going to be folding all of these edges in after attaching your stay to this piece. Okay, you can use your hemming gum to hold your fold in place so it doesn't shift. Now this notch will help us to fold this part in neatly. So after ironing your stay, go ahead and fold in these parts, all these corners you see me fold. Go ahead and fold them in neatly with at least 1/4 of an inch, and use your hemming gum as well, and then I'll show us what we have. So this is what I have. Can you see how beautiful this is? For a neat work, you have to iron while sewing. Can you see this edge? Now let me show us the back. I added my stay. Now while folding in 1/4 of an inch, I use my hemming gum so it keeps it in place. So can you see what I have? Can you see the edges? So neat and so beautiful. Now look at this corner. That notch we made helped this part to relax very well. So kindly give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so now let me show us how we're going to turn this, okay, to the right side for it to sit pretty. You're going to turn the wrong side of your main fabric, your front piece, and then you're going to be placing the right side of your facing on the wrong side of your Ankara. I hope you understand. And then you use your pins to pin down the neckline, and then that's where you're going to be sewing on. After pinning it down, you sew with 1/4 of an inch, and when you're done, you're going to flip this to the right side of your fabric. Okay, so I'll do that and show us what we have. So can you see what we have? We've used this to turn the neck, can you see, neatly, and I flipped everything to the right side. This is so beautiful, so magnificent. So this tutorial, you need to use your pins. I'm still going to pin this down so that when I get to my sewing machine, it doesn't shift. I'll go ahead and stitch the edges with a tiny and neat stitch. Okay, you're going to stitch very close to the edges. From here, can you see where my finger is showing you right now? You're going to stitch very close to all these edges, right at the edges, with a very tiny and neat stitch. You stitch all those corners down. Okay, now when you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead and attach your pockets. Okay, but this is my back piece. I've gone ahead to use the facing to turn the neckline neatly. Can you see? And I've ironed it in place because we're going to be joining the shoulder seams when we're done with attaching the pockets. Now from that notch that we made earlier at the waistline, you're going to be placing your pockets right side facing right side of the fabric, stitch down with 1/4 of an inch. Repeat same for the other side, and we'll do the same thing for our back pieces. When we're done, we'll join the shoulders together. So can you see what we have? I've gone ahead to join the shoulder with 1/2 of an inch, and I've gone ahead to attach my pockets. Can you see what we have? I've attached the pockets to both sides of the dress. So this is what we have. So let me show us the front design. I stitched it down neatly. Can you see what we have? Can you see? Very beautiful, very demure. Can you see? Very tiny and neat stitch with a matching thread, okay, at the edges. So what we're going to do now, we're going to be creating this design at the sleeve area with the piece of fabric I have. So you're going to open up your sleeve and measure what you have. I have 20 point something inches. Okay, so I've cut out this fabric and it's the same length as my sleeve, but the width is 5 inches. So when you fold it in two, you're going to be having 2.5 inches. If you have enough fabric, you want yours to be more bold, you can cut out like 8 inches. Can you see what I have? Is the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this into two, fold it into two the way you see me do, and you're going to be sewing it directly on the right side of your fabric. You stitch it down with 1/4 of an inch, and then you flip it to the right side and give it a good press. I'll repeat the same thing at the other parts of the sleeve. Now when we're done with our sleeve, you're going to go ahead now and shapen the sides. Remember we added 3 inches, but since it's a free dress, you shape it this way, maybe with 1/2 of an inch or 1 inch. Okay, watch the way I'm showing you. From the sleeve, you shape it into the lower part, and then after that you're going to go ahead and hem the lower part of your dress. I'll do the same thing for the other parts. So can you see what we have? This dress is so beautiful, and it's an everyday dress. You can rock it in the evening, you can rock it to the market, you can rock it out on a date. Can you see our sleeves sitting pretty? The front design so neat. The hemline, I've gone ahead to hem it. This is so beautiful. Please, if this tutorial has been helpful to you, kindly give this video a thumbs up and like and subscribe, because a very interesting tutorial is loading and you wouldn't want to miss that. Now these are pockets. Can you see our pockets sitting pretty? Look at that design at the center, so beautiful. So thank you so much guys for stopping by for today's tutorial. I love you guys so much. Till I see you guys in our next tutorial, kindly stay tuned, subscribe, like and share. I love you guys so much. Bye bye.